Before we start, this video is sponsored by no one. Wala naman kasi akong sponsor. Kumusta? I'm Avar Joseph and welcome to the Worthy Recap Weekly Edition number 150. We have tons of covered since last week, so skip to the chances provided if it piques your interest and subscribe to the channel kasi wala namang masama, di ba? And let's get on with the video. Jesus Escudero at Martin Romualdez kakasuhan ni Ombudsman Boyie na what do you get when every single document sa BICAM conference ay naglalaman ng iyong pirma sa tinaguriang most corrupt budget. Tapos unprecedented pa na ikaw, Senate President, ay mapupunta bilang miyembro ng BICAM.
Sabi nila nung una, 9 billion daw yung sa Sorsogon, 12 billion daw yung sa Bulacan. Sunod sinabi 142 billion. Sunod binura nila yon, ginawang 150 billion. Alin ba talaga ang sasagutin ko ron? Pangalawa, nung una ang sinabi, ako lang. Sunod sinama si Senator Villanueva. Sunod buong Senado na raw yun. Ang kabuuang panukalang amendment kaugnay sa 2025 budget ay umaabot sa humigit kumulang 600 bilyon. Ang nilipat-lipat, tinanggal, dinagdag. So kung totoo man yung sinasabi nila na 150 billion ang binago ng Senado, nasaan yung 500 billion yung pagbabagong yon? Saan ang galing? At bakit nila pinagtutuunan ng pansin yung mas maliit, hindi yung mas malaki? Sunod, nabalita na sa akin yan. Nagagamitin laban sa akin yan kaugnay sa isang demolition job, kaugnay sa napipintong halalan ng Senate President. Pero sinasagot pa rin kita ngayon, bagaman tapos na, ang halalang yun. Kung iimbestigahan yan, dapat imbestigahan lamang, nagsalita na Executive Secretary. Imbestigahan daw, hindi lamang yung sa panahon ni Pangulong Marcos, pero yung mga nagdaang administrasyon din.
Samantalang ang isa, sentro ng flood control accusations at speculation dahil sa iyong right-hand man na Zizaldico at marangyang pamumuhay. Kumbaga, ikaw ang sentro ng mga akusasyon.
He was trying to explain his side that he had no hand in many things. But that's all I can remember. I don't really remember the specifics. Of course, he was trying to make a case, his case, that had nothing to do with anything. I mean, we just listen.
Anong sagot?
Wala, just, diba? We just follow the evidence. That's it.
Kakasuhan raw ni Ombudsman Boying Remulla si dating Senate President Jesus Escudero at former House Speaker Martin Romualdez ng kasong plunder sa mga darating na buwan kaugnay ng budget insertions at flood control para sa 2025 budget bilang the most corrupt budget ever.
Against former Speaker Martin Romualdez and former Senate President Jesus Escudero. Plunder ang aming hinahandang kaso para sa kanila.
Related sa... On record, sir.
And as a conspiracy, with the element of conspiracy involved in the preparation of the complaint.
How soon po ito?
Well, within the month of May, we're just tying up many things that have to be there for us to make a case out of it. Pero Senate President, former Senate President, and the former Speaker will be subjected to a case of plunder very soon.
Flood control case, flood control related po ito.
Flood control related in so many ways, yes.
Ombudsman, sila na po yung sinasabi nyo kanina na matataas na opisyal. Nakakasuhan nyo.
Sila yan.
Okay.
Pero marami pang iba kasi na
And the primary source at rason kung bakit sila magko-conduct ng investigasyon, yung mga testimonya sa Blue Ribbon Committee dahil sa conspiracy to commit plunder. Nawang naalala ko lang na pwedeng dahilan ay ang pagsangkot ni dating DPWH Undersecretary Bernardo implicating Escudero at ang isang Maynard Ngu sa mga kickback scheme kasama ang iba pang mga dating senador tulad ni Binay at Revilla.
Maynard Ngu and I are close friends and we go years back. He is also a close friend and campaign contributor of Senator Chis Escudero. Maynard Ngu asked me to submit a list of projects. I personally submitted a list of projects to Maynard Ngu, and some of the items therein pertaining to Valenzuela and Marinduque projects were subsequently included in the General Appropriations Act. When I gave him the list and in relation to the commitment, I asked him, "Boss, paano to?" Maynard replied, "Bahala ka na." I asked, "Boss, okay na ba ang 20%? Maynard said, "Okay." After inclusion of the projects in the GAA, I delivered 20% of approximately 800 million or about 160 million to Maynard Ngu, which was meant for Senator Escudero. While I was attending the confirmation hearing of Secretary Bunoan sometime in August 2022, I was summoned by Senator Chis to his room. When I got there, he told me, "Hindi na ako bababa sa CA. Marami pa akong kulang na streetlight sa Sorsogon. Ano ba magagawa nyo para sa akin?" I replied, "Kakausapin ko po si Sec Bunoan kung paano ang gagawin." I relate to Secretary Bunoan what Senator Chis told me. Subsequently, I received from the brother-in-law of Senator Chis Escudero a list of projects which included the aforesaid streetlights project. He asked me to confirm if that streetlights project was the one for Senator Chis, which I did. Sometime in 2023, Maynard Ngu told me to go to Cork and meet Senator Chis Escudero, which I did. I met with the latter in a private room in the said establishment. While we were drinking wine, he told me, "Alam ko naman ang galawan nyo dyan sa DPWH. Okay naman ako. Sabihin mo kay Sec magbaba sa akin." Also, the delivery of the 160 million for Senator Chis referred to in paragraph 17 of my affidavit happened sometime in the first quarter of 2025. Around July 2025, I had a chance encounter with Senator Chis and Maynard Ngu at the court. Senator Chis Escudero approached me, shook my hand, and said to me, "Thank you."
Samantala, wala naman masyadong naging bombshell na revelasyon laban kay Romualdez. Magaling kasi siguro siyang magtago. Pero according to the Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson Senator Lacson, ipinapasama nila si Romualdez sa mga dapat pang imbestigahan ng malaliman. Pero hindi agad sila nire-rekomendahan na hindi katulad ng mga ibang senador, kakasuhan.
And yung draft, sir, you confirm na pinapa-recommend yung charges versus Senators Villanueva, Estrada,
Kasi sabi kong reality sa ground, we're recommending them to undergo preliminary investigation and they're already undergoing preliminary investigation. So why would we go against what's already happening? 6 people ang nandun.
Okay, sir.
Ex-Congressman Saldico, of course, Senator Bong Revilla, tapos Senator Chis, lahat ng nag-PPI ngayon, yun ang kasama doon.
Senator Joel, Senator Jinggoy.
Yeah.
You confirm that?
And ex-Congresswoman
Mitch. But no Romualdez, sir.
Ibang kategory. Meron din recommendation kay former Speaker Romualdez.
Okay.
Pero hindi siya kasama doon because kinag-authorize namin based on corroborative evidence. Kasi all others, yung nasa first category, not only the legislators, pati DPWH officials, marami yun, may COA, lahat. Pero sa legislators, kinategorize namin sila into different levels. Yung pinakahuling level, ito yung na-mention ng pangalan, pero walang validation at saka walang corroboration. So how will we treat them? Because their names were mentioned, they will be mentioned in the commission report. Pero ang recommendation is further fact-finding inquiry.
Ang naalala ko lang kay Romualdez ay yung paggamit daw niya ng pangalan ng mga diskaya para sa renovation ng isang kondo o actually house and lot na pagmamayari ng ka-business ni Romualdez.
Well, actually, sir, we already mentioned to our boss nung lumabas yung mukha po ni Mr. Diskaya. Nasabi ko, kamukha
Saan lumabas ang
sa
mukha?
TV po, when the flood control project is being brought up. No?
During the hearings.
Yes, during the hearings.
Okay,
so sabi
so-
ko sa boss ko, sorry about that. Sabi ko po sa boss ko, tsaka sa colleague ko, tingnan nyo nga, ma'am, tingnan mo pang maigi itong mukha na to. Hindi ba ito yung contractor na pinakilala sa atin ni TJ Conti? And then we both agreed na siya nga.
And he was physically there.
He was physically there.
How long did you talk to Mr. Diskaya?
It's less than 5 minutes po, pero kasi natandaan namin siya because he was the one manning the people na sinabihan pa na tulungan kami para mapabilis yung pag-move out niya. February 2, medyo nagtagal po kasi nakiusap na nga kami na we really cannot matanggal lahat ng mga gamit dahil sa sobrang dami. And he also mentioned to us na contractor ako dito eh. Meron din kaming deadline. And then we both asked, baka pwede po namin pakiusapan yung may-ari, yung bagong nakabili ng bahay. And then he also mentioned that si Romualdez ang nakabili. And then after po nun,
That's according to Mr. Diskaya.
that is according
Okay.
to the contractors.
Now, nandito tayo ngayon sa pagdinig, ano? Kung makikita niyo personal, si Carla Diskaya, makikilala niyo?
Yes, Your Honor.
Pakituro niyo nga kung nandito siya sa loob ng session hall. Lapitan niyo na lang kung sino dyan sa among the resource persons.
And of course, hindi natin makakalimutan si Orly Gutesa, the alleged security detail at marine ni Zaldico, which implicated Bongbong Marcos, Romualdez at Zaldico sa limpak na salapi sa flood control scandal.
Noong December 5, 2004, na-hire ako bilang security consultant sa Ako Bicol Party List or AKB kay Congressman Zaldico. Tuwing may duty at detailed ako sa basura, it means itong basura, ito yung box ng pera na pinag-uusapan natin sa kasalukuyan.
Mr. Gutesa, mag-stick ka lang sa binabasa mo. Huwag ka nang nag-a-adlib.
Ay,
Kung ano yung nandito, basahin mo lang.
Yes, Your Honor. Tuwing may duty detail ako sa basura, pumupunta kami sa 28 Ladybug Corner, Dragonfly, Valle Verde 6, Pasig City. Tagabuhat lang ako ng malita ng basura. Ang ibig sabihin ng basura ay malita na may lamang pera. Ang bawat malita ay may lamang humigit kumulang 48 million pesos. Ang bawat malita ay may push-it na nakadikit na nakasaad kung magkano ang laman ng bawat malita. Tuwing may duty detail sa basura, may pumupunta na tao na magde-deliver ng basura at nire-receive ni John Paul Estrada at Mark Tiksay. Ang mga executive assistant ni Congressman Zaldico at sila ang mga detailed sa mga ganyang activities. Ang isang ehemplo na nagdala ng pera ay si Congressman Eric Yap ng AXIS Party List. 46 na malita ang dala niya sa bahay ni Congressman Zaldico sa Valle Verde 6. Bago ibaba ang nasabing basura, ito ay bawas na. Halimbawa, nag-akyat kami ng 46 na malita. Ibababa lamang namin ay 35 malita para i-deliver sa bahay ni House Speaker Martin Romualdez sa 42 McKinley Street, Taguig. Humigit kumulang 3 beses ako mismo ang nag-deliver ng basura sa bahay ni Congressman Zaldico dahil iba-iba kaming mga nakadetailed na close-in, backup at advance party na nagkakaroon ng rotation.
Hindi pa nga humaharap yung mga 18 ex-Marines na sinasabing binayaran o tinulungan ang ICC para sa pag-build ng kaso laban kay Digong at parang kino-corroborate yung mga sinasabi ni Orly Gutesa na isa ring Marine over the male-maletang puno ng pera. We also know na Remulla has also been eyeing Romualdez for a long time. Kahit na brad niya yan sa fraternity, pero kahit anong sabihin ni Remulla, there will still be a lingering sense of protectionism kasi nga si Marcos na pinsang buo ni Romualdez ang nag-appoint kay Ombudsman Remulla. So kahit na anong sabihin niya, kung hindi mapapakulong ang lahat, lalo na yung sa tingin ng marami ay guilty, lagot na. And that includes, and actually that only exudes, Romualdez.
When we look at the Saldico cases, and the whole pattern that happened, it was really Saldico working with some senators that came up with a final version of the budget. And the plan was laid out there. If fingers do not point to the speaker, former speaker, as the leader of the House, he was responsible for the appointment of Saldico. Although Saldico was elected on the floor, everybody knows that it was the speaker's plan.
Pero bakit plunder ang fina-file ni Remulla? Hindi ba sabi niya noon pa na plunder is overrated? Mas mahirap yung patunayan kaya hindi niya gagamitin yun para sa mga gusto niyang makulong. Graft and corruption ang sasabihin. Pero bakit dito? Plunder. No, sasabihin nyo kasi yun yung involved sa kanila, na malaki ang involved sa kanilang pera. Pero can't you find a single thing para mas madali nating mapatunayan at mapakulong yung mga dapat makulong?
Plunder is overrated. Through all these years, I think there's only been one conviction for plunder. That's why we are looking at other crimes that are easier to prove. Because plunder nga is overrated. It's full of holes already. And all the jurisprudence about plunder has just explained that it's very hard to pass the test.
Baka mamaya magfa-file ka lang ng kaso tapos sasabihin mo nahirapan kaming patunayan para lang masabi niyang wala na akong magagawa kinalaban ko si Romualdez pero walang ebidensyang nakita. Tapos malinis ang kanyang kamay kasi nga technically totoo naman na pinurso niya si Romualdez. It's just that he pursued something that shouldn't even be pursued. Dapat graft and corruption, hindi plunder. Kasi again, siya na nagsabi, mahirap patunayan ang plunder. US at Iran nagkasundo sa ceasefire? What do you expect when you bomb a country with military might and resilience to match it unprompted as the bully at police pang kalawakan kasi siga-sigaan ka sa rehiyong hindi ka welcome?
What's your backup plan if there's no field opens?
You don't need a backup plan. We have the military is defeated. Their military is gone. They have, we've degraded just about everything. They have very few missiles. They have very little manufacturing capability. We've hit them hard. Our military is amazing, the job they've done.
Trump began the war by telling Iranians the hour of your freedom is at hand. And they had the only chance for generations to get rid of the Islamic Republic.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
But as the ceasefire begins, the Iranian regime is still in power, having survived over 13,000 airstrikes in a combined onslaught from America and Israel. During the war, Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz to all tankers from enemy countries and charged others $2 million for every passage. If Iran carries on charging, running a toll booth for tankers, then it could use this new source of cash to rebuild its missiles and perhaps even the nuclear plants that were destroyed in the previous war last year. So Trump is going to need a watertight peace deal that prevents Iran from restoring its lost capabilities. If he doesn't get one, then it's possible that because of its new control of the strait, Iran's regime will come out of this war stronger than it was before.
Nang matapos ang ilang deadline ni Trump na hindi pinansin ng Iran,
We're doing unbelievably well, well at a level that nobody's ever seen before. The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
Earlier this week, President Trump claimed, quote, total and complete victory over Iran. 100%, no question about it, he said. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth added, Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield, a capital V military victory. Epic Fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come. But are Trump and Hegseth right to claim victory for themselves? If it's truly a victory, why is Iran in at least partial control of the Strait of Hormuz? And why are the anti-American theocrats who have been in charge of Iran for 47 years still in charge?
kasama na ang pag-post ni Trump ng mga planong war crimes na gagawin niya raw sa mga sibilyan laban sa Iran kung hindi ito papayag sa ceasefire.
We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again.
What the president is doing is threatening war crimes, and the American people already recognize that this illegal war of choice is a big mistake.
Kasama na yung paghingi ng tulong ng US sa mga kakampi nito, which fell on deaf ears.
They'll never be there for us. We spend trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO to defend other countries. NATO's making a very foolish mistake. I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. We don't need them, but they should have been there. We're very disappointed. I'll say it publicly. We're very disappointed with NATO because NATO has done absolutely nothing. This was a test for NATO. This was a test. You can help us. You don't have to, but if you don't have, if you don't do that, we're going to remember. I think a tremendous mistake was when NATO just wasn't there. Why would we be there for them if they're not there for us? They weren't there for us. I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO. They're coming to see me on Wednesday. They're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now they all of a sudden want to send things, I've always said NATO's a paper tiger.
Kasama pa yung pagka-convert ni Trump sa pagka-Muslim by saying, Praise be Allah on Easter at 3 a.m. in the morning para lang sabihin sa Iran sa kanyang social media page na if they don't open the fucking strait, you crazy bastards, a civilization will essentially die.
Another post on Truth Social by President Trump saying a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will.
Nagkasundo na sa 2-week ceasefire ang Iran at US para payagan ang mga barko na makadaan sa Strait of Hormuz without fear of getting bombed by Iran.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Pero alam naman natin na kahit na gano'n na mangyari, matatakot pa rin yung mga ships na dumaan sa Strait of Hormuz. Nawalam naman natin na isa, if not the only reason the US strike Iran ay simple lang. Trump is in the Epstein files. Kaya nga laging interes ng Israel ang sinusunod niya. Baka mamaya kasi, binablackmail siya ni Bibi Netanyahu, ang Prime Minister ng Israel. Kumbaga, nagiging sunod-sunuran ang US sa wisyo ng Israel.
If we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
Alam din natin na itong Israel ay talagang walang nuclear weapon. Wink wink. Kaya pinoproject na, si Iran ang may nuclear weapons, hindi kami, at malapit na nilang mabuo yun in less than 3 months, 6 months at max. na sinasabi na ni Bibi Netanyahu since the 1990s. So, give or take 30 years.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 years.
Basically, ganito ang nangyari sa sigalot sa gitnang silangan. Gusto ni Trump, aka Netanyahu, na magkaroon ng regime change sa Iran na pinamamahalaan ng Ayatollah, pero ayaw rin nila mag-deploy ng US troops sa Iran para sa isang invasion. Kasi nga natatakot pa rin si Trump na, again, hindi na nga siya popular na presidente tapos gagawa pa siya ng panibagong gera. Ang gusto ni Trump, magkaroon ng kudeta o revolusyon without ground troops. Pwede sana kasi marami talagang gustong paalisin yung Ayatollah. Pwede sana. Kaso yung mga magsistage sana ng revolusyon, binobomba ng US. So, sino sa tingin mo ang iisipin nilang kalaban nila? E di yung bumobomba sa mga ospital, mga tulay, at sa mga eskwelahan ng kabataan. Siyempre, yun yung kakalaban nila, yun yung nasa isip nilang kalaban nila, hindi yung Ayatollah, hindi yung gobyerno ng Iran. Kasi nga, binobomba mo. Imbes na tulungan mo, binobomba mo sila. Alam din natin na open ang Strait of Hormuz noon pa. Pero dahil sa art of the deal ni Mr. Trump sa ceasefire deal, bubuksan niya uli yung Strait of Hormuz na dating nakabukas na. Ibig sabihin parang walang nagbago. Bago nila bombahin at patayin yung leader ng Iran. Kumbaga, they are back on where they were. Ang gusto nila, regime change. Pero ngayon, nagmamakaawa sila sa Iran na, Iran, please, masyado nang mataas yung presyo ng krudo. Please lang, buksan mo yung Strait of Hormuz, which was originally open to the public. Wala nga ginagawa yung Iran para kalabanin o maglagay man lang ng toll sa Strait of Hormuz kahit na kaya nilang gawin yun. Pero hindi eh. Binomba mo sila. So of course, they will retaliate against your allies sa rehiyon kung saan nakalagay yung mga US bases mo. Parang hindi na masyadong natutuwa yung mga merong US bases tulad ng Saudi, ng Qatar at ng kung ano-ano pang bansa kasi nga hindi mo sila maprotektahan sa ganoong threat. Pero ang Israel, kahit na may ceasefire ang US at Iran, hindi tumitigil sa paglusob sa Lebanon. Pero what do you expect from a country na nagva-violate ng ceasefire agreement within their borders at ngayon between their allies 1,000 times over in a single period? Bukod sa genocide sa Gaza Strip, Israel violates ceasefire agreements on the daily basis. Hindi ka na talaga magugulat sa mga yan kasi nga again and again and again. At yan ang pagtatapos ng News Worthy Recap Weekly Edition for roughly the first week of April 2026. Mag-suggest more topics and or corrections to the balitas if you feel I mispresented them in any way. Salamat sa panonood mga kabayang. For me, like, subscribe, and follow my like sa socials and for Joseph that will be linked down below. Susunod muli of course. Paalam.